Hello students, welcome to today's class. I am Bernisha, lecturer from Emmanuel Dancer College of Pharmacy. Today we are going to learn about an important topic from pharmaceutics, that is suspension. First, these pharmaceutical suspensions are the biphasic liquid dosage form in which the finely divided solid particles are dispensed or suspended in the dispersion medium. As we know that biphasic liquid dosage form has two phases. One is dispersed phase and another one is continuous phase. Here the finely divided solid particles act as the dispersed phase which is suspended in the vehicles. They are denoted as the continuous medium or dispersion medium. Next, we see about the advantages of suspensions. First is it is suitable for the insoluble drugs. That is, the drugs which do not dissolve in the waters can be formulated as the suspensions. Second is improved stability, as these suspensions are more stable than that of the another liquid dosage forms. Better palatability. The unpleasant taste drugs can be masked by using formulated by the suspensions. Next is flexible dosing. Those can also be easily adjusted for children. Good for pediatric and geriatric patients as it is more easier to swallow than the tablets and capsules. Next is disadvantages of suspension. The disadvantages of suspensions includes physical instability as some of the suspensions may forms more sedimentations. So next is caking problems. For following by the sedimentations, more suspensions can forms a hard cake which is very difficult to redisperse. Need for shaking before use, as it needs some directions for the usage, so people must use with proper directions. Improper shaking may lead to inaccurate dosing. Next is bulkier than solutions, as it is more difficult to transport and store as it is more bulkier than the other liquid dosage forms. Next is less elegant appearance. As compared to the clear solutions, some of the suspensions may look cloudy. Next is the qualities for ideal suspensions. There are some of the qualities which makes that the suspension is ideal. First is it should be chemically stable and the particles should not form compact cake when it is under sedimentation or settling process, and it should be redispersed when we have to shake it properly. Next is the dispersed particles do not settle readily and we have to shake it before use. During that shaking, the particles should be redispersed immediately. Next is the suspension should have such viscosity as it can be easily pourable from the containers. And as we are using suspension for internal use, it should be more palatable. Next, injectable suspensions have very less particle size as it should be passed through the needle. Next is the suspension meant for the topical application should have very small particle size to avoid the gritty feelings and to avoid a greater coverage of the area of applications. Next is classification of suspensions. It was classified into four types based on their pharmaceutical use, based on the proportion of solid particles, based on the electrokinetic nature of solid particles, and based on the size of solid particles. First is based on the pharmaceutical use. Based on the pharmaceutical use, they are classified into oral suspension, externally applied suspensions, parenteral suspensions, and ophthalmic suspensions. Here, externally applied suspension is known as topical suspensions. Next is based on proportion of solid particles. That is based on the dispersed phase, which is the finely divided particles. First, it is separated as dilute suspensions and concentrated suspensions. Here, the dilute suspensions contains 2 to 10% of weight per volume solid in the continuous medium, and concentrated suspension contains 50% of the solid particles in the continuous medium. Next is based on electrokinetic nature of the solid particles. Based on that, it was divided into flocculated suspensions and deflocculated suspensions. Next is based on the size of solid particles. Based on the size, here suspensions are classified into colloidal suspension, coarse suspensions, and moreover, it is further divided into nano suspensions. Colloidal suspension means the solid particle size will be around 1 micron, and for coarse suspension, it will be also around 1 microns. Here, nano suspensions, here the particle size will be under micrograms. Next is oral suspensions. Oral suspensions is the suspensions which can be taken by the oral route. Therefore, they contain suitable flavoring and sweetening agent. Here, which are the drugs which produces unpleasant taste can be masked and it can be formulated into oral suspensions. For example, paracetamol, chloramphenicol palmitate. These are some of the drugs which can be formulated into suspensions and given for the pediatric patients. Next is topical suspensions. Topical suspensions are the suspensions which can be externally applied onto the skin, and it is free from the gritty particles, and the solid particles present in the topical suspensions must be smaller particle size so that it can be easily cover the topical areas. For examples, calamine lotion. Next is ophthalmic suspensions. Ophthalmic suspension is nothing but the suspension we are using for the eyes, and this suspension must be isotonic and non-irritating as we are directly using it on the eyes. For example, prednisolone eye drops. Next is parental suspensions. We have already known that parental suspension means injectable suspensions. We are using it in the injections. We have already learned that the injectable suspension should have a small particle size as it passes through the injections, and it should be used for the depot actions. We have to make sure that the parental suspension is more sterile and it has been pyrogen-free suspensions. For example, procaine penicillin. Next is based on the kinetic nature of the particles. They are classified into flocculated suspension and non-flocculated suspension. For the flocculated suspensions, the individual particles are in contact with each other and form a network-like structure. So here we have known that the individual particles, if the particles are in contact and they forms a network of structure. For the non-flocculated suspensions, the individual particles exist as a separate entities. Separate entities, they have no contact with each other. Next is based on the sedimentation. The flocculated suspensions have high rate of sedimentation, and the non-flocculated suspension have slow rate of sedimentations. And the flocculated suspensions are the unstable suspensions as they forms the cakey structures. In the non-flocculated substances, it is stable suspensions. Flocculated suspensions are loosely packed and it does not form hot cake. It does not form hot cake as they have contact with each other and have a network-like structures. With the non-flocculated suspensions, here the sedimentation is very closely packed and it leads to hot cake formations. Here, the flocculated suspension, the sediment can be easily redispersed, but in non-flocculated, the sediment is difficult to redisperse. And the flocculated suspension has not pleasing appearance, and but the suspension here non-flocculated suspension has pleasing appearance. In flocculated suspensions, the floccule sticks on the sides of the bottle, but non-flocculated suspension, it does not sticks on the sides of the bottle. Here the supernatant liquid is clear, and for the non-flocculated suspensions, the supernatant liquid is cloudy. Okay, students, today we have learned about water suspensions, its disadvantages, advantages, their ideal properties, along with the classifications. Okay, let's see on the next class. Thank you.